Hey, hey, what's up? Hold on. All right. So my GoPro fell in some water slash vinegar mix during the cleanup of some of those pieces for that card catalog. So haven't been making any videos, and I got a new phone because my old phone was crapping on me. So this one actually has pretty good camera. I'm gonna try to do this, just kind of make simple videos showing some of the stuff that we're doing, because we have a never-ending plans and cycles of things happening. And this morning what we're doing is I'm feeding the chickens some of their eggs along with the eggshells. There's eggshells mixed in that scramble. We take the eggs. It's snowing out there right now, so I'll put my hood up. But we take the eggs and we put them on in a lime bath or whatever you want to call it to glass them. And we were expecting that, we glass the eggs, we'd be able to have them through winter when we don't get as many eggs, but we're still getting just as many eggs in winter as we were in summer. So we're really working on getting through these eggs. And so what we're doing is, some of the eggs, when they had frozen here and there in the wintertime, they would crack. We would still use them, but sometimes we wouldn't. Because they'd be oozing. So those ones are the ones we feed back to the chickens, but we scramble them with the eggshells. Now look at these chickens over here. Our chickens do not mind being outside in the snow, especially right now. They probably heard me coming, because as I was walking up here talking to you guys, they all started coming out. So they know, chickies. And what this is going to do is, they're going to scratch and peck in the snow the same way that they would have done it in the dirt. And all we do, we come out every so often, and we on a real cold day, like today is a pretty cold one. I think we're at 9 right now. There's not a lot of wind, but when the wind is kicking on a day like today, the feels like temperature will actually be in the negatives. And we just recently got some snow. Winter was kind of weak this year. It's been, for us in central Maine, the last couple of years have been kind of weak winters, and they're saying it's going to keep that same trend for a while now, which I don't mind. I'm not really a big winter sports, outdoor winter activities kind of guy. I don't mind the winter, but I'm not really a big fan either way. So, yeah, it's just one of those things that it is what it is. But for me, we have let me set this plate down, and I'll show you what I got this year, because I had a small one and it didn't do a bad job, but then the belt broke. I had a little, so this is my snow blower I had. You guys probably saw it in some of the other videos before. And it's a good snow blower. It's a 26-inch Troy built, 2-stage, good deal. But the drive belt, so it actually has two under this cover here. It's got two drive belts. One is for the drive of the actual wheels to move it forward or back. That's the transmission basically for the driving drive. And then it's got the auger drive, which is this front side, to get those spinning, which is actually what sucks the snow up and throws it out. that's the belt that broke. Without that, it's useless. So I got to order another one, replace that belt. But I did something that I'd been wanting to do, and that sort of was my good excuse for doing it. So there's Little Blue, and no longer do I have the backhoe attached. I have my snow blower. As you can see, I've pulled in some gravel. It's pretty scratched up already under there. At one point, I forgot I had left a ratchet strap laying out to the side over there by the cabin. It sucked that ratchet strap up, locked it up, busted off the shear pin. Thank God for shear pins. Those are intentionally meant to break. They're a weak point that's built into the system so that you don't cause actual damage. Shear pin breaks off and then it kind of stops any further damage from happening. But I'm going to wipe some of this snow off of the top here because I got to get into Mrs. Howell's car to grab her some bags, or a bag. We are big fans of thrift stores, and that goes both ways. When we have things that are still good, usable, somebody can put them to good use, we donate, because that's how we get a lot of stuff, is from thrift stores, Goodwill and things like that. Consignment shops, thrift stores, whatever. Secondhand is the best way to do it if you're trying to be frugal and you want decent stuff. Instead of just buying the cheapest crap out there brand new, go buy the good stuff that has been used and still has life in it. So with that being said, I bringing some of these bags in because Mrs. Howell has some items that we no longer need or use, but they're still good, so she's going to be donating them. But yeah, this is just going to give you a quick update, kind of what we've been up to. Let me get this. Here's those bags, babe. Alright, so she's got that. So I've been working inside. We'll go in there in just a second, but since I'm already out here with you guys, I'm going to show you what I kind of got started into, kind of on accident, but not 100%. I've been interested for quite a while in doing some fur trapping and then processing the hides and all that kind of stuff. I haven't gotten around to it because we're still busy working on the house and fixing and doing things here. So what I did is I went over to a local butcher and I said, hey, look, if you have some, a deer hide, something like that, because they do a lot of game processing over there, and a lot of times they don't want the hide, they just want the meat. The person who shot the deer just wants the meat back, and so the hides get tossed. And they said a lot of times they'll either give it to people to use for coyote bait, or they'll just toss them back in the woods, and it breaks down and animals come and eat it, but you put it far enough back in the woods and it just goes back to nature. So I said, hey, if you got a deer hide, let me know, and I'd like to practice, just try to learn how to do some of this processing of a hide and tanning and all that kind of stuff. And they were more than happy to do it. Well, they called me up a couple days later and said, hey, we got a deer that somebody just brought in and we got the hide if you want it. So I was like, sweet. Went there the next day. The wife was the one who had called and left me that message. The husband didn't know that it was supposed to be getting held for me. So he just dragged it out back and tossed it like he normally does, which is not a big deal, but you know, whatever. So when I got there, the wife went to go get the hide and she was like, "Oh man, it's gone. I'm so sorry." No big deal. It's like literally 5 minutes around the block from where we are, not very far. So it wasn't a big deal, but, they had actually just butchered a cow. Well, they had just skinned the cow and it was still hanging. You know, there's a process there I'm not going to get into, but they had the cow hide and head freshly removed, and it was laying there and going to get taken out back. And I said, you know what? Let's go ahead and see. Why not? If I'm going to try it, all or nothing, right? I'm crazy like that. So why not just freaking go in 100% and get a cow hide for my first try? So that's what I've done. And I spent days. I think it's kind of a blessing for me in disguise, the fact that it's been very cold. Daytime temperatures have been getting above freezing a little here and there, but for the most part, we're below freezing, especially at night is below freezing. And so that hide, I threw it in the creek the first day I got it to really rinse off most of the blood and stuff. And then I cut the head and the legs off, the sections that kind of jotted out. And then I tried to start the fleshing process with no proper tools, but I got it pretty good fleshed. And then I did this. So I know you guys are like, just show us the damn thing already. I hate when people keep talking, right? But here's what I did. That is a cowhide. Nothing super fancy or anything, but it's pretty. It's nice. It's actually really soft. You might not expect that, but it is really soft. You can see dust. I don't know if you can see that in the video, but I cleaned it. Yeah, you can see that dust a little bit kicking off of there when I do that. But I built this frame. The boards are boards that I milled myself. They're like 1x8. I think these ones are 1x8s. And then the corner ones are like a 1x6 or like a 1x5 and whatever. But I went ahead and built this frame, strung this thing up. Originally, I used this natural twine. It's like I don't know what the material is that you would call that, but it's a natural material, and it sucks for this. It does not work well. It broke all over the place as I was trying to stretch and tighten up this hide. You can see I used this twine on this corner specifically because all these just broke off. But again, I don't really know what I'm doing other than watching videos, reading a couple of articles here and there online. Here's the other side of it if you want to see how that looks. After I fleshed it, and strung it up like this. Actually, I fleshed it before I strung it up. I took it to a local car wash that used the pressure washer. And I pressure washed it to get any last little bit of loose stuff. Then I strung it up on here while it was laying flat. And salted it and stuff like that. It was a pain in the backside because, again, I have no idea what I'm actually doing. Trial by fire. I'm a fan of just do it, you know. I don't like Nike, but I'm a fan of just do it. If there's something I think is a neat idea and I'd like to be able to say, oh, I know about that. I want to actually know because I've done it, I've experienced it, not because, oh, I read a book or I saw a video. So that's what I've been doing. Another topic, that woodshed, I built it. It was temporary. I always knew it was going to be temporary, but it ended up collapsing this side here. The roof caved in. Luckily, we were already down. There's only maybe less than a cord of wood under there at the time, so I pulled that wood out and brace that up so that the metal didn't get damaged. But those two braces are just kind of holding the roof up for now, so that by springtime then I can take it all apart and actually build the wood shed that I want to build. That's going to be permanent. And if you can see it, that is a box under there. That box contains a greenhouse from Harbor Freight. It's the biggest one they carry. I think it's 10 foot by 12 foot, I think it is. So I just looked at the price on that thing was like $9.99. I had a 25% off coupon, so I got it for like $7 something. And the reason I went for it, one, because with that 25% off, that was a pretty good deal. But I looked online just to buy those panels. It's actually got the double insulated, it's the 2-layer panels. They're not just single plastic. And I was planning on building a greenhouse using like some cedar boards to make the framing, and then putting up the greenhouse plastic on it. And I looked at those types of panels, and the price to build a greenhouse that size just for the panels themselves, I would have paid like $2,700. So even if the frame, which is aluminum, and it seems fairly decent, and if you reinforce it, I'm sure it'll hold up fine. Even if that turns out to be garbage, it's more than worth it, just because of the fact that those panels themselves would have cost me more. But anyway, those are a couple things we're doing. If you look off in the, there's Mr. Bear. If you look beyond him out here, the fruit trees. This is the time of year, if you have fruit trees, this is usually one of the best times to do some pruning. So I did that the other day, went out and clipped a bunch of the stuff that I don't want to be growing. I'm trying to keep it where my center of the fruit trees is open, light gets in, and they stay short and open up kind of wide. So that I went out and did a bunch of pruning on those. And then this little covered space right here, I went ahead and threw that tarp across to keep snow from blowing in. And I pulled the tractor under there. It just barely fits, which is fine. We've got some plans for that later. There's always plans for everything out here later, but we're working on it. You can see the solar panels. I got to go knock some of that snow off of those. You already saw the chickens this morning. They're out there doing their thing. And oh, and over there, I don't know, you see where we at? There we go. Over here, the sap boiler, it's covered with a tarp and covered with snow right now. But I think probably this coming up week, I'm going to get out there and throw some taps in the trees. There's a lot of people saying they're already getting sap because we've had really strange winter weather. Normally it's sap is flowing when you're below freezing at night and then above freezing during the day. And we've had several of those kind of days mixed in. Even though we're still in winter, it's not really supposed to be flowing. And so the producers that are getting sap right now, though, they said that the sap is not the good stuff. It's more watery. So most maple sap is around a 40-to-1, right? So 40 gallons of sap gives you 1 gallon of syrup based on the sugar content. And they said right now most of what they're getting is about 100-to-1, which is very similar content as what you would get if you did birch. You can make birch syrup too. And birch syrup in its prime is about 100-to-1. So you have to boil a lot more water off in order to get it to the consistency of a good syrup. I haven't done any birch myself, so I don't know. But that's what I understand to be the, sort of the ratios. But yeah, I'll be tapping those trees soon, getting some sap off of that, and then I'll pull the cover off of that thing and get it fired up to boil down some syrup. Also going to get my sawmill kicking up again. I got woods out back that I've cleared. Some of those trees are laying down, and I was going to drag them out. I thought the ground was frozen. We had a good deep freeze. Our ground out back does not freeze with those dang with those springs. Those springs just keep it wet, keep it flowing constantly. Even when we were in the negatives for several days, and it's shaded, so it had been very cold. Most of the rest of the ground has been frozen. Back there, it just does not freeze. The ground doesn't freeze. So I got my tractor stuck. And yeah, that kind of sucks. I got it out. Obviously, you can see that. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. That's what we've been doing. Excited and looking forward to spring actually getting here. Did a bunch of stuff inside the house. Upstairs is mostly finished. I got a little bit of trim work left to do, and the upstairs bathroom is still not finished yet, but that's a big project that'll come later. I've just been doing a lot of the little stuff. We got the flooring done. We got the walls, all the walls are finished in the bedrooms and hallway and everything. Just trim work other than the upstairs bathroom, and that's that. So anyways, thanks for watching. Kind of a long one. I'm just over here talking and walking around. I'm not even going to edit these things anymore. I'm just going to take it with my phone. They'll be shorter than this most likely from now on. But this is kind of a big update because I haven't made any videos for a while. And since I didn't do any videos, I just went around and showed you all this different stuff. So now, if there's anything you saw me sort of briefly mention or pointed out, and you would like to know more about it, or you want me to make a video a little more detailed on any subject, let me know, and I'll do it. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Come back and check it out. I'll try to throw more videos up, and they'll be shorter than this one from now on, I promise. I usually try to keep them only around 10 minutes or so, but like I said, this is kind of a big one. So thanks again. We'll see you on the next one. Like, subscribe, share, tell a friend, whatever you're going to do or not. And have a wonderful day.